Hello, beautiful. So, a few days ago, a dear friend of mine reached out to me and asked me if I could tell her a little bit more about ugly truths, how to get there, and what happens once we admit them to ourselves. And it got me thinking, maybe I didn't talk enough about that in the first video, so we're gonna go over it again. So, I want to start by saying that the whole point of admitting these pieces of self to self, and this can also be considered shadow work, it can also be considered ego death or ego integration. But the whole point is so that we're no longer attached to them. They are unconscious pieces of us that we operate under. So my need to change people, for example, it took me down a path where I was always going towards people who were shitty people, because something I realized about myself in the time since I made that video is that I see hate and I go towards it because there's some part of me that has always believed that my love can overcome the hate, right? And I was operating under that, like, unconsciously. But now that I'm conscious of it, I don't have to chase those types of people anymore. I don't have to attract those types of people anymore because I see it for what it is. So basically, what you're doing is you're bringing consciousness to the unconscious pieces of you. You're illuminating them, and then you're accepting them for what they are. This might not be pretty. I might hold shame here. I might hold guilt here. I might hold fear around what everyone else is going to think of me about this. But this is a piece of me. And it deserves recognition. It deserves acceptance, and it deserves love. These pieces of us, they just want to be seen. They want to be brought to the surface and then integrated. This is literally breaking free from the matrix. Really, it is. See yourself. Now, if we're going to talk about how to spot them, I want to say, like, pay attention. Pay attention to your reactions to things that people say to you. I'll give you an example, okay? The guy that I was talking about in the first video messaged me again recently, and this is a pattern. It's a cycle. I knew it was going to happen. And one of the first things that this man says to me is that my profile picture on Facebook looks slutty. He said it was the sluttiest on his friends list. And that fucking pissed me off because, like, I like the picture. I know it's kind of, like, sexy in essence, but I fucking like it. Or I wouldn't have chose it as my profile picture, right? Sorry, I just stopped and put on my hoodie. It's getting chilly. Anyway, so that, like, upset me. That hurt my feelings. It really did. But reflecting on it, and I admitted this to him, I realized another ugly truth is that I like to be lusted after. I always have. I was always somebody who was hypersexualized, right? I was a sex addict. That's real, right? Lust was a huge part of my life. Even in relationship, I liked for other men to lust after me. That doesn't mean I cheated. I did in some, but not in my long-termers. But I still like to be lusted after. Don't we all like to be attractive, right? But that just is what it is. And I told him, another ugly truth straight from me to you. And he took it really badly. Anyway, tried to shame and guilt me for it. That doesn't matter. But that's a way that you can spot these ugly truths. Pay attention to your reactions to things that people say to you. Another way is to pay attention to your projections. What do you put on other people? Now, generally, these are things that, like, we don't want to admit to ourselves. We don't like this in somebody else. This couldn't possibly be us, but it is. And I'll give you another example. When this man came back into my life, just recently, and I just kept thinking, like, this man keeps coming back, but he's not over there doing any of his work. He's not trying to be a better person. And I am completely leaning into not seeking love outside of self and wanting to be a greater expression of love in the world. And he just keeps coming back, waiting for me to change, which I have. He can't see that, though, because he hasn't changed. But that's not the point. The point is that I realized, have I been waiting for him to change on some level? Because I cannot even be friends with that type of person. I don't have room in my life for somebody so full of hate, and especially for somebody who will take the vulnerability that you hand to them and twist it around to shame and guilt you with it. So is there a part of me that accepts him back, that has accepted him back multiple times because I feel like he'll have changed? So that'll lead you right to an ugly truth too. For me, that's like a deepening into a truth that I already see and am stepping out from, which is another thing. Like, you can deepen into these truths. You can see these truths for what they are, and then realize later that even though you've stepped out from under them, you're still operating under them, but on a deeper level. That may or may not make sense to some of you, but I think if you get it, you get it. I also want to say, pay attention to your body. Something happens. You find yourself in a situation. What is going on in your body? Do you get a pit in your stomach? If that's the case, then go there. Go take a minute, step away, go into the bathroom and lock the door if you have to. Put your hands wherever your body is reacting, and feel it. Feel that lump in your stomach. Like my example, feel the lump in your stomach. Just allow it to be, and then ask it, what's here? What am I not seeing? What are you trying to tell me? And then trust what arises. Because the body knows, and the soul knows. But the mind and the ego, they like to override the body and the soul because we're taught that. Okay, I'm almost out of time, so I hope that helped. Mwah.